On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union fell apart. As we all know it, this was one of the most consequential moments in modern world history. The Cold War came to an end, two superpowers were no longer dividing the world, and new possibilities were on the horizon. The Soviet Union had been formed just over 70 years before that, with the Bolshevik Revolution and the Russian Civil War, which led to the rise of Vladimir Lenin and his Communist Party. With its vast territory and resources, the Soviet Union quickly became a major player on the world stage. But behind the scenes, the Soviet system was crumbling. And when it did, it broke apart into 15 different pieces. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of those pieces and see how they've fared since independence. If you're ready, let's get into it. First off, we have to start with Latvia. Latvia's history can be traced back to ancient times, but its modern incarnation was born in 1918 after declaring independence from the Russian Empire. However, it was soon occupied by both Germany and then the Soviet Union. It wasn't until 1990 that Latvia declared independence once again. Since then, the country has enjoyed steady economic growth and is now one of the most prosperous nations in the Baltics. Next up is Estonia, who also had independence from the Germans and Russians in 1918, only to be occupied by the Soviets in 1940. The nation suffered greatly during the Nazi occupation of World War II, but after the war, the Soviets took control again. A popular uprising in 1987 showed that the people of Estonia still wanted independence, and this finally happened in 1991. Today, Estonia is considered to be one of the most digitally advanced countries in the world. Our next stop brings us to Armenia. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Armenia was quick to declare its independence. This was partly due to the fact that the Armenian people had faced a lot of hardship under the Soviets, including the forced deportation of 1 million Armenians and the destruction of much of their culture and heritage. Since gaining independence, Armenia has focused on rebuilding its economy and society, while also pursuing close ties with neighboring countries such as Iran and Georgia. Moldova, this hidden gem, is just across the Black Sea, ready for your adventure. In 1940, the Soviet Union incorporated Bessarabia, known today as Moldova, into the USSR. The region became a Soviet Socialist Republic, and this continued until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, after which it became independent. While the country has struggled economically at times, it has made great strides in recent years. Further west, we find Lithuania. On February 16, 1918, Lithuania declared its independence from both Germany and Russia. But this didn't last long as the Soviets marched in and took control. It wasn't until 1987 that Lithuania began to assert its independence once again. This culminated in the Singing Revolution, a non-violent mass protest that led to the restoration of Lithuanian independence in 1990. Today, Lithuania is one of the most stable and prosperous countries in the former Soviet Union. Back to the east, we come to Georgia. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Georgia became a free and independent nation once again. But the road to democracy and prosperity has not been easy. Georgia has experienced a number of challenges, including two separatist conflicts in the regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, a severe economic crisis in the early 1990s, and a contentious relationship with neighboring Russia. Nevertheless, Georgia has made significant progress in recent years and is now one of the fastest-growing economies in the region. Next up is Azerbaijan, another nation that gained independence in 1991. The country has experienced significant growth in recent years, thanks to its vast oil reserves and strategic location between Europe and Asia. Azerbaijan has also played an important role in the international community, serving as a major player in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Council of Europe. From there, we move on to Tajikistan, which became a Soviet republic in 1941 after being part of the Russian Empire before that. After independence, Tajikistan experienced a civil war and economic hardship. In recent years, however, the country has seen some stability and growth. Moving on, we find Kyrgyzstan, which also gained independence in 1991. The country has been on a path to achieving sovereignty and democracy, though it has faced many challenges along the way, including ethnic violence, corruption, and a disputed election. Despite these obstacles, Kyrgyzstan has made significant progress toward becoming a stable and prosperous nation. Before we continue, be sure to hit that like button for more great content. Now let's move on to Belarus. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Belarus found itself at a crossroads. The country had been deeply tied to the Soviet system, and its economy was heavily reliant on trade with other Soviet republics. However, with the dissolution of the USSR, Belarus had to forge a new path forward. Under the leadership of President Alexander Lukashenko, Belarus has maintained close ties with Russia, while also pursuing a policy of limited sovereignty. This approach has allowed Belarus to maintain a degree of autonomy while still benefiting from its relationship with its powerful neighbor. From there, we travel to Uzbekistan, which was a rather quiet republic within the Soviet Union. Since gaining independence, Uzbekistan has undergone significant economic development under the leadership of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The country has implemented a series of reforms aimed at attracting foreign investment, improving the business climate, and promoting entrepreneurship. These efforts have paid off, with Uzbekistan's economy growing at a steady rate in recent years. Next, we have Turkmenistan, which also maintained a neutral stance during the Cold War. After independence, Turkmenistan pursued a policy of neutrality, maintaining good relations with both Russia and the United States. In recent years, the country has experienced significant economic growth, driven by its vast energy resources. Despite its economic success, however, Turkmenistan remains one of the most isolated countries in the world. From there, we come to Ukraine, which was an integral part of the Soviet Union. The country was home to many important industries and provided essential resources to the rest of the USSR. Following independence, Ukraine faced numerous challenges, including economic instability, corruption, and separatist movements in the eastern regions. Despite these obstacles, Ukraine has made significant progress in recent years and is now one of the most prosperous nations in the former Soviet Union. Now we arrive at Kazakhstan, which was the largest of the Soviet republics in terms of land area. Kazakhstan's vast territory spanned from the Caspian Sea to the Siberian frontier, encompassing a wide range of natural resources and ethnic groups. Since independence, Kazakhstan has experienced significant economic growth fueled by its abundant energy resources. The country has also pursued a policy of neutrality, maintaining good relations with both Russia and the West. And then, of course, there's Russia, the last standing superpower of the USSR. Russia has undergone significant transformations since the fall of the Soviet Union, from the economic and political turmoil of the 1990s to the rise of Vladimir Putin as president in 2012. Russia has emerged as a major player on the world stage once again. The country's vast territory and abundant natural resources have made it an important player in global politics and economics. As we can see, the former Soviet republics have come a long way since the fall of the USSR. Each country has its own unique history and challenges, but they have all made significant progress toward building stable and prosperous nations. The Soviet Union may have fallen apart more than 30 years ago, but its legacy continues to be felt today.